At this very moment, not earlier, not later, but right now, something inside you feels wrong in a way you can't quite explain. You are moving through your days, showing up, functioning, speaking, but the world feels poorly rendered, like a simulation that failed to finish loading. Your job feels hollow. Your relationships feel distant. Your routines feel mechanical, stripped of meaning. There's a thick sense of disconnection hanging over everything, as if you are no longer inside your life, but operating it remotely, like a pilot stuck inside a body that suddenly feels unfamiliar. You might feel scared. You might be wondering if you're losing control, slipping into a breakdown, or quietly falling into depression. You're not. What you're experiencing isn't a malfunction of your mind. It's an overwrite of your timeline. This isn't collapse. This is interference, intentional interference. Your future self, the most refined, optimized, fully realized version of you, existing beyond linear time, has just initiated a forced system update on your current reality. In the language of machines, you've hit the blue screen of death. But consciousness doesn't operate like a computer stuck in failure mode. In the physics of awareness, this moment isn't the end. It's the reboot sequence. You aren't broken. You're buffering. We need to establish what's actually happening immediately, because the confusion you're feeling right now is draining your energy at an unsustainable rate. In quantum physics, there's an experiment known as John Wheeler's delayed choice experiment, and what it proves completely dismantles the idea that time moves cleanly from past to future. The experiment demonstrates something deeply unsettling. The decision made by an observer in the present determines the path a particle took in the past. The journey is shaped by the destination. History bends to meet the outcome. The future reaches backward and edits what already happened. Now, apply this directly to your life. Up until now, you've been trying to construct your future piece by piece, step by step, dragging bricks from the past and stacking them forward in a straight line. That process has abruptly stopped. Why? Because the version of you that has already succeeded, the one that has crossed the threshold you're approaching, has turned around and looked back. That act of observation locked onto your timeline. And because that future version of you runs on an entirely different operating system than the one you're currently using, it's overriding your past and present to guarantee its own existence. The disorder you feel isn't regression, it's deletion. Your system is aggressively uninstalling outdated software. Old habits, expired relationships, obsolete belief structures, emotional scripts that no longer support the architecture you're becoming. You cannot run a quantum operating system on MS-DOS hardware. The crash you're living through is the necessary demolition of an interface that can no longer support what's coming next. Think about what happens during a massive phone update. The screen goes black. Apps stop responding. You can't make calls. Nothing works. The device becomes a lifeless slab of metal and glass. If you didn't understand that an update was underway, you'd assume the phone was dead. You'd panic. You'd press buttons. You'd try to force it to respond. That's exactly what you're doing with your life right now. You're trying to extract old functionality from a system in the middle of a deep firmware rewrite. And when it doesn't respond, you conclude that you're failing. You're not failing. You're being rebuilt. Look at the data, the error codes. You're experiencing are specific, consistent, and shared by everyone undergoing this frequency shift. You are exhausted. Not ordinary tired, but profoundly, unreasonably drained. You sleep for hours and wake up feeling like you've been running simulations all night. Coffee doesn't clear the fog. Rest doesn't restore you. This isn't physical fatigue. This is processing overload. Your biological hardware is devoting nearly all its resources to rendering a new timeline. There's no spare bandwidth left for surface-level tasks. Mundane responsibilities feel overwhelming because your energy isn't anchored here anymore. It's being diverted to construct the framework of your future. You're also experiencing identity destabilization. You catch your reflection, and for a brief moment, it doesn't feel like you. The face looks unfinished, like a character model still loading textures. You look at people you've loved for years and feel nothing. Not resentment, not anger, just emptiness. Like opening a familiar folder and discovering it's completely blank. This makes you feel guilty. You worry you're becoming detached or cold. You're not. You're recognizing that those relationships were written for a version of you that no longer exists. That identity has been archived. The version of you that's emerging hasn't had its emotional code written for those connections yet. You find yourself walking into rooms and forgetting why you're there. This isn't early memory failure. It's a timeline desync. Your awareness is flickering between two frequencies, the fading signal of who you were and the incoming transmission of who you're becoming. When your mind blanks, it's because for a fraction of a second, your consciousness synced with a reality where you were doing something else entirely. You are literally occupying overlapping states, and your brain is struggling to reconcile the data streams. There's also a physical component, a sensation you've probably noticed recently. A pressure behind the eyes, a persistent high-pitched tone in the ears that isn't tinnitus, sudden waves of heat rising up the spine. This isn't random. It's your hardware trying to conduct a higher voltage than it was originally designed for. You're a 110-volt system suddenly connected to a 220-volt source. The heat is resistance, your old cellular structure adapting to a higher frequency input. Emotionally, you feel like you're screaming inside a soundproof chamber. You try to explain what's happening to people close to you, your partner, your family, and they stare back blankly. They offer linear solutions. Take a break, get organized, see a therapist, go on vacation. They don't understand that you can't tidy up a structure that's actively being demolished. This isolation isn't accidental. It's a quarantine protocol. You're being separated to prevent contamination. Too much external noise would disrupt the download. The silence is required for the installation to complete. Your future self has initiated the shift. The old code is being erased. Everything is changing. Here's the diagnosis. You are suspended between two worlds. The old world, the one where effort was forced, outcomes were manipulated, and survival required constant strain, is gone. It's been deleted. But the new world, the one where you operate as an architect, where reality responds to your alignment, hasn't fully rendered yet. You're standing in the static between them. Your mistake, the source of your suffering, is that you're trying to fix the static. You're treating this transition as a problem to solve. You're reaching for old tools to repair a system designed to fail. You're trying to think your way out, work your way out, control your way out. Stop. You cannot repair a system whose function is to collapse. Imagine you've spent your entire life flying a propeller plane. You know every vibration, every gauge. Mid-flight, the propeller disintegrates. The cockpit dissolves. You start falling. You panic, grabbing controls that no longer exist, screaming that the aircraft is broken, unaware that a starship is assembling around you. For the starship to exist, the plane must vanish. You cannot keep the comfort of the propeller and gain the velocity of the jet. The retrocausal overwrite is merciless. It doesn't care about your comfort. It only cares about trajectory. It doesn't care if you enjoy your current job, only whether it aligns with your mission. If it doesn't, it's removed. It doesn't care how attached you are to a relationship. If that person can't sustain the frequency you're moving toward, they're phased out. This feels brutal. It feels like loss, but it's optimization. Your future self functions like an algorithm. It scans your life and asks a single question. Does this support the final render? If the answer is no, deletion begins. You've been fighting that deletion, grabbing onto collapsing structures, trying to revive timelines that are already dead. The exhaustion you feel is resistance. You're dragging a corpse and wondering why you can't move faster. If you felt this incompatibility recently, like you don't fit in your own skin, like the world looks washed out and pixelated, interact with this message. Not for an algorithm, but as a signal to your subconscious. You're acknowledging the update. You're accepting the bandwidth drain. You're consenting to the overwrite. We're going to stop resisting the crash. We're going to stop trying to repair the obsolete vehicle. Instead, we're going to learn how to facilitate the download. We'll examine the mechanics of this retrocausal loop with precision, not fear. You aren't a victim of this process. You are the hardware it selected. Understand this clearly. The data wipe you're experiencing is the strongest indicator of success you've ever encountered. When a system installs a massive new program, the first thing it does is clear cache, shut down background processes, and free space. The emptiness you feel isn't absence, it's capacity. You're being hollowed out so something far larger can fit. So let the old files corrupt. Let the old identity freeze. Let the screen go dark. Don't touch the controls. Don't force a reboot. Let the system complete its process. Because when the display comes back online, it won't just be an upgraded version of you. It will be an entirely new class of creator. The update has already begun. Zero signal. You look at people who used to feel like home, and now they register as strangers. You search your memory for passion, for desire, for drive, and it feels like trying to recall a dream you had a decade ago, vague, distant, unreachable. This is not depression. This is cache clearing. The emotional charge you once had toward your old life was stored in your system memory. The retrocausal overwrite has wiped that memory clean to free up space for a new instruction set. You don't care anymore because the version of you that cared has already been deleted. The overwrite has a third signature, and it's one you've been fighting hard. Hyper-focus on the irrational. Suddenly you're magnetized towards something. That makes no sense in the context of your current life. You're an accountant who can't stop thinking about soil regeneration. You're a nurse who feels an uncontrollable pull toward graphic design. You label this a distraction. You shame yourself for it. You try to suppress it. That's a mistake. This isn't distraction. This is the new script installing. Your future self is quietly embedding the assets you will require 3 years from now. Skills, curiosities, knowledge nodes. You're resisting because your current identity can't see how they fit yet. I watch how people respond to this phase, and I see the same 2 failure modes appear again and again. 2 ways you try to fix the glitch that only deepen the crash. The first is psychological excavation. You become obsessed with tracing the breakdown back to the past. You ask, why is my life unraveling? You dig through childhood memories. You relive trauma. You journal endlessly, hunting for the original wound. Stop. You are analyzing corrupted data. You are trying to debug a file that is actively being overwritten. The past you're examining no longer exists in a stable form. It's being rewritten by future observation. Digging into it now is like trying to recover a Word document while the hard drive is being formatted. It wastes processing power. It slows the installation. The second failure mode is the forced restart. This is where you try to overpower the fatigue with discipline. More caffeine, more alarms, more effort. You tell yourself you just need to grind harder. That mentality will destroy you here. You have no available RAM. Your system is already running at maximum capacity to render the new timeline. That deep, crushing exhaustion, the kind sleep doesn't touch, that isn't weakness. It's render latency. Your energy is being redirected to build the bridge forward. If you try to stack high-intensity tasks on top of that, you don't get stronger. You crash the kernel. You burn out completely. You need to understand the paradigm you're actually operating in. You were taught that time is linear, that you're laying bricks one by one, day after day, constructing your future through effort and persistence. That's the Newtonian model. It's obsolete. The quantum model is recursive. It's a loop. You are not building the house. The house already exists. Your future self is standing inside it, activating a massive magnetic field. You are the iron filings being dragged backward through the dirt to meet it. The resistance you feel, the pain, the confusion, the heat, isn't because you're failing. It's because you're digging in your heels while being pulled. You are not the programmer writing the code. You are the hardware receiving the download. This requires a total identity shift. Stop behaving like an architect who lost his blueprints. Start behaving like a server undergoing a major update. When a server updates, it goes offline. It doesn't serve traffic. It doesn't run legacy software. It sits quietly, cooled, inaccessible, while new data overwrites the old binary. The glitch is not an error. The glitch is the point. The chaos is evidence. The fact that nothing makes sense anymore is proof that a new logic has taken control. Stop trying to repair the version of you that is being uninstalled. Let it crash. The faster it crashes, the faster the new interface loads. This brings us to the architecture of the shift itself. You must dismantle your understanding of time. Right now, you're trapped in a linear driver illusion. You believe you're at point A, exerting force to reach point B. You think anxiety, planning, and effort generate outcomes. That belief is why you're exhausted. You're pushing against physics. Here's the shift. In a quantum framework, effect precedes cause. The result already exists. The future you, fully optimized, fully integrated, is not hypothetical. It's compiled. It's sitting on the server waiting to be rendered. You are not pushing a boulder uphill. You are being pulled by a magnet. The crushing sensation in your chest, the confusion, the sudden halts. This is not failure. This is karmic drag. It's the friction created when you try to steer manually while autopilot has already locked the destination. Your future self is dragging you backward through time to meet it. This reframes intuition completely. You were told intuition is a guess, a hunch. That's wrong. In a retrocausal system, intuition is memory. It's a data packet transmitted from the future to the present. When you feel an inexplicable urge to turn left, call someone specific, or leave a stable job, you're not speculating. You're accessing a read-only file from a timeline where you already succeeded. Your future self is dropping breadcrumbs into the code. This also explains the loss. You've been calling the collapse of your life a tragedy, mourning friendships that went silent, panicking over a career that now feels like chewing dry cardboard. Reverse the logic. If the future self is overriding the system, anything that can't support that frequency must be removed. Those relationships, that job, that routine, they are legacy drivers. You're trying to run a high-definition holographic operating system on outdated hardware. The system isn't breaking. It's purging incompatibilities. When a relationship goes cold overnight, don't try to fix it. That's like forcing a floppy disk into a USB port. The architecture has changed. It no longer fits. Let that land. The things you're clinging to are the very obstacles blocking the download. This demands a complete methodological overhaul. Your old operating system was based on prediction and control. Analyze the past, project the future, micromanage the present. That's low-bandwidth behavior, analog thinking. Your new operating system is different. It's render and receive. You don't build the path. The path is already computed. Your only responsibility is to clear cache so the map can load. Move from anxious striving to mechanical calm. You are not the programmer. You are the receiver node. You are a high-bandwidth antenna. When the signal is distorted, you don't yell at the broadcaster. You tune the receiver. You reduce interference. The anxiety you feel is signal noise, two programs running simultaneously. The old identity and the future self. They're competing for RAM. You must stop doing and start hosting. You are the hardware. The future self is the software. When you surrender to this, the panic dissolves. You see the glitch for what it was. Not an error code, but a progress bar. The chaos wasn't destruction. It was the installation wizard unpacking files. You were never lost. You were rebooting. And the version of you that comes back online doesn't wait for the future. It remembers it. Now we move from theory to diagnostics. We check the logs. You need proof. You need certainty that this chaos is engineered, not accidental. That you are not losing your mind. You're undergoing a format change. When a system updates its operating software, the indicators are predictable. The screen freezes. The fan spins to maximum. File access is restricted. Without context, you'd assume failure. With understanding, you wait. You trust the process. Your life is showing you the same indicators. But without the manual, you're mislabeling the data, calling it depression, calling it anxiety, calling it bad luck. Let's correct the syntax. Here are the unmistakable signs that the retrocausal overwrite is active in your biology, not signs of collapse, but of installation. Sign 1, the data wipe, also called identity amnesia. This is the phase that terrifies the ego. It's the sudden deletion of emotional resonance tied to your own history. Imagine your mind as a hard drive. For years, you stored files neatly. Career ambition, friendships, hobbies, goals. You could open those folders and feel something. Excitement, attachment, motivation. Then one day, you clicked the folder, and it was empty. 0 kilobytes. You didn't feel angry. You didn't feel sad. You felt neutral. Blank. And that neutrality scared you more than pain ever could. You've been carrying this quietly. Sitting across from a friend you've known for a decade, listening to them speak and feeling like you're watching a stranger. You remember that the old you would have engaged, cared, reacted, but that script no longer loads. You feel like an actor on the wrong set. The props are familiar. The lines are gone. Psychology calls this dissociation or anhedonia. Engineering calls it cache clearing. Your future self cannot overwrite a full disk. To install the new directive, the system deletes old dependencies. Your loss of interest in your career isn't laziness. That career doesn't exist in the timeline. You're entering. The passion disappeared because the energy sustaining it was cut. You're experiencing a 404 error, passion not found. This is a safety mechanism. If you still loved the old life, you'd fight to stay. So the system induces apathy to loosen your grip, detaching you from the dock so the current can carry you out to sea. Do not force the feeling back. Do not corrupt the data just to feel normal. If the file is empty, let it remain empty. That emptiness is the space required for what comes next. If you've felt this amnesia, if your life suddenly feels like it belonged to someone else, acknowledge it. Acceptance accelerates installation. Sign 2. Timeline bleed, often mislabeled as synchronicity. Repeating numbers, repeated phrases, patterns appearing too frequently to ignore. This isn't mysticism, it's render overlap. When two timelines process simultaneously, artifacts appear. Repeated pixels, duplicated code. Seeing 1111 isn't a greeting. It's a system status check. It means the boundary between timelines is thinning. You're seeing raw code beneath the interface. The randomness of your life is revealing its structure, and that structure means one thing. The overwrite is active. You may have noticed that this isn't subtle anymore, it's escalating. You're not just catching repeating numbers on a clock. You think about a specific person, and your phone rings seconds later. It's them. A book crosses your mind, and moments later it falls off a shelf or appears in your feed. This is not coincidence. This is latency collapse. The delay between command and execution, between thought and reality, is shrinking. The buffer is gone. You are no longer operating with lag. You are syncing in real time with your future self. Do not idolize the signs. You don't worship a progress bar when a file is downloading. You recognize it as confirmation that the connection is stable. That's all these numbers are. Diagnostic pings, a network test. 1111 means handshake confirmed. Upload speed, optimal. Acknowledge it and continue. Now we reach sign number 3, the one people fear the most, the one they rush to suppress, numb, or medicate away. Hardware rejection. This is the physical intolerance phase. Sudden, unexplained reactions in the body. Foods you've eaten your entire life suddenly feel wrong. One drink of alcohol leaves you wrecked for days like your system was poisoned. You step into a crowded office, a shopping mall, a loud environment, and a wave of exhaustion hits so heavy it feels like gravity doubled. Headaches appear behind the eyes, exactly where visual data is processed. This is not random. This is resonance mismatch. Everything is frequency. Your body is hardware. Your consciousness is software. Right now, the software is being upgraded to a higher frequency, higher complexity operating system. Faster, cleaner, more precise. But the environment you're embedded in is still old hardware. Dense, noisy, low voltage. It's like trying to run a modern 3D rendering engine on a laptop from 1995. The system overheats. Circuits overload. Emergency shutdown engages to prevent permanent damage. Your future self operates at high efficiency. When you force that frequency into environments that are slow, toxic, or heavy, a draining workplace, a gossip-based social circle, processed fuel, the friction generates heat. That heat is inflammation. That heat is exhaustion. The intolerance isn't weakness. It's your system rejecting incompatible drivers. Alcohol lowers frequency. It introduces static. Before, your baseline was low enough that the static didn't matter. Now you're tuned into a high-fidelity signal. Even a small amount of noise destroys the connection. You've become a precision instrument. Precision. Instruments are sensitive. They don't belong in dirty rooms. You're not becoming fragile. You're becoming refined. A sledgehammer can survive mud and impact. A microscope cannot. You are evolving from a sledgehammer into a microscope. This rejection also applies to people. You may have noticed that being around certain individuals, even people you love, drains you physically within minutes. Your chest tightens. Your throat constricts. This isn't judgment. It's physics, destructive interference. Their wave pattern and your new wave pattern are out of phase. When waves are out of phase, they cancel. Your energy is being zeroed out by the environment. The solution is not toughness. The solution is isolation and update. When a server undergoes critical maintenance, it goes offline. You must give yourself permission to go offline. If your body rejects the food, stop consuming it. If your system rejects a person, restrict bandwidth. You cannot run the new simulation on obsolete hardware. Listen to the rejection. It is protecting the upgrade. Theory without execution is useless. We've identified the mechanics of the retrocausal overwrite. We've named the glitch. Now we execute the protocol. Your internal file system is corrupted. RAM is clogged with data from a timeline that no longer exists. We are going to manually initiate the update. This is not meditation. This is maintenance. We are not relaxing. We are powering down hardware to install a new operating system. Sit upright. Spine vertical. Your spine is the primary antenna. If it collapses, the signal compresses. Close your eyes. Phase 1. System pause. Background processes terminating. Your brain is overheated. Too many tabs open. Worry, planning, regret. These are draining resources. We force quit them now. Inhale deeply through the nose. Hold at the peak. This suspends data flow. Exhale slowly. As you exhale, visualize a command terminal in your mind. Type shutdown, S. Feel the internal fans spin down. Silence the hum of anxiety. Cut power to the to-do list. You are not a person right now. You are biological hardware in standby mode. A server rack idling in a dark room. Scan the chassis, your body. Locate the heat. The jaw has been clenched for years. That's defensive code running on loop. Release it. The shoulders are tight because you're trying to carry the timeline. That's not your function. The timeline carries you. Drop the shoulders. Scan the stomach. That tension is fear of the unknown, a firewall blocking the update. Disable it. Feel yourself becoming cool metal. Dense, heavy, chrome steel. No output, no effort. Just idle. If a thought appears, dinner, emails, obligations, label it as a pop-up ad. Do not click. Close the window. Return to black screen. Zero data. Zero processing. Just the hum of the machine. Phase 2. Uplink. Locating the server. With the local drive quiet, access the cloud. Establish handshake with the future self. This future self is not fantasy. It is a localized, energetic node that already exists. The server hosting the optimized file. Keep eyes closed. Shift awareness from the head to the chest, or the forehead, wherever the signal is strongest. Scan. You'll feel a pull, a magnetic tug forward, an inevitability. This is the retrocausal tether. Visualize a fiber optic cable descending and locking into the crown of your head. Do not visualize faces or scenes. That's imagination. This is engineering. Lock onto frequency. Feel the vibration of the version of you that has already completed the transition. Calm, fast, still, increase. The gain. Amplify it. You may feel temperature shifts, heart rate changes. This is handshake confirmation. Server recognizes client. Silently acknowledge. Connection secured. Phase 3. Code injection. Sector overwrite begins. The future self is pushing data through the tether into your body. Raw data. If you need imagery, see it as luminous code, gold or electric blue, streaming down the spine, raining into marrow. Pressure builds. This data is rewriting cellular structure, victim scripts deleted, scarcity drivers removed, confusion modules uninstalled. Resistance may appear. Itch, anger, sudden movement, that's the old OS resisting deletion. Do not. Engage. Let it burn off. Think of your body like a phone updating. Screen black, progress bar moving. You cannot use it during install. Surrender. Focus on the end state, not how. The how is corrupted code. Focus on relief, authority, safety. That feeling is the software. Download it into your gut, into your hands, into your feet. You are becoming incompatible with your former reality. The vibration is increasing. Heaviness deepens. That's data. Density. You are becoming more real. The past is fading into ghost memory. Hold the frequency. Lock it. Fan speed increases. Processor heats. Compilation underway. 30%. 60%. 90%. Let the new script occupy every sector until there's no space left for the old identity. Archived. Completed. Phase 4. Reboot. New kernel online. Keep eyes closed briefly. Understand this. You are not in the same room. You started in. Physically identical. Observer changed. You are now looking at this moment from the future. This is a memory you're visiting. Inhale. Ventilate the system. When you open your eyes, do not look at the world. Render it. Open your eyes. Look at your hands. They may appear unfamiliar. Good. They are tools of the architect. Scan the room. Sharper. Brighter. Slightly unreal. That's render latency. That disorientation confirms success. You are running the new OS. Do not access old emotional directories. They're empty. Do not attempt to run anxiety scripts. They'll return errors. Stand. Feel gravity. Gravity is the anchor locking you into this simulation. You are live. You are online. The retrocausal loop is active. Move with the precision of a machine that knows its purpose. The glitch is resolved. The signal is clear. Welcome to the new timeline. You are no longer just a user of reality. You acknowledge the update. You endured the overwrite. Now remove your hands from the mouse and place them on the keyboard. You are becoming the system architect. Most people live on default settings. Reaction speed dictated by past trauma, emotional bandwidth capped by old firmware. Passive consumers. In a simulation, they were meant to direct, but you initiated a retrocausal overwrite, and if you do not actively manage it, the system will. The next phase begins now. Without proper integration, your system will crash. Burnout, confusion, nervous, system overload, the blue screen of death. You don't need affirmations. You don't need wishful thinking. You need tools. You need debugging protocols. We are installing 3 specific executables into your daily routine. These are cybernetic frameworks designed to stabilize the new timeline while the old code is being deleted. Tool 1. Pattern Interrupt. Task Manager. You currently have background processes running without your awareness. These are daemon threads, legacy scripts from your past. Automatic loops consuming your RAM. You know this experience. You're driving to work and suddenly replaying an argument from 3 years ago. You're in the shower reliving a failure from 2015. You're sitting at your desk and an anxiety loop about money starts running without permission. This is not you. This is legacy code. It's a corrupted script cached in your neural pathways. Most people engage with it. They argue back. They feel the emotion. They feed the loop energy. This is a critical error. You cannot reason with a glitch. You must terminate the process. We use a technique called the pattern interrupt, identical to pressing End Task in a computer's task manager. Protocol. The moment you catch your mind entering a fear loop, judgment loop, or past memory loop, you intervene physically. No negotiation. Detect latency. Notice the mood drop. Notice the tightness in the chest. That's the CPU fan spinning up while the virus runs. Execute the command. Say out loud, stop script, semantic jolt. Snap your fingers, clap your hands, or stand up immediately. This sounds primitive. It is not. It is advanced biological hacking. The verbal command disrupts synaptic firing patterns. The physical action breaks neurochemical momentum. You are sending a SIGKILL signal to the brain's default mode network. You are telling your hardware, we are not running this program. The file is corrupted. Delete. Do not be polite with your own mind. You are the administrator. If a browser tab freezes, you force quit it. Do the same with your thoughts. Every termination frees RAM. That energy immediately becomes available to render the future self. Tool 2. Future Anchor. Desktop. Shortcut. The frequency of your future self is high. Bandwidth. Powerful but unstable at first. The old you is low bandwidth but familiar. Easy to fall back into. Old neural pathways are highways. The new version is a dirt road you're building while walking on it. You need a shortcut. In computing, a desktop. Shortcut points to a massive program buried deep in the system. One click, instant access. You need a physical shortcut to your future timeline. Choose one object you carry regularly, a ring, a watch, a keychain, or your phone wallpaper. This object becomes your totem. It is no longer just metal or glass. It is a dedicated pointer variable entangled with the energetic signature of your future self. Protocol. When you touch or see this object, touch the anchor collapse, the wave. Recall the felt state of the future self. Override the current emotional state. You do not think about the future. You pull its state into the present. If the future you is calm and authoritative and the present you is frantic, touch the anchor. Recall the state. Override the emotion. This is one of the fastest ways to shift timelines without long meditation. Your nervous system is the hardware. The future self is cloud software. The anchor is the antenna. Touch it in high-pressure rooms. Touch it when drama tries to hook you. You are not the character in the scene, you are the player holding the controller. Tool 3. Glitch log. Error. Reporting. This tool reframes what you call bad luck. During any operating system upgrade, things break. Files vanish, drivers fail, screens flicker, not because the system is broken, but because the architecture is changing. As the retro-causal overwrite activates, friction appears. A client drops you. A tire goes flat. A relationship turns cold overnight. A deal dissolves. The old you calls this failure. The architect calls it data. You must stop reacting emotionally to structural change. Start an error reporting log. When chaos hits, do not spiral. Open your notes or a journal. Log it under. Incompatibility detected. Protocol. Event. The car broke down on the way to the meeting. Old reaction. Panic, anger, victimhood, architect reaction, vehicle hardware failed. Meeting coordinates no longer compatible with future trajectory. This is critical. Delays protect you. Loss prunes you. If you lose a job, it was a legacy application. If you kept it, it would crash the entire system. The simulation is uninstalling it for you. When you log glitches, you detach from pain. You become a scientist observing the experiment. Interesting. Frequency increased. Structures collapsed. Correlation confirmed. The upgrade is working. You stop taking deletion personally. Space is being cleared on the hard drive. You cannot download. The new if the disk is full of the old. The flat tire avoided a timeline collision. The lost deal prevented a 3-year energy drain. You don't see the variables. The future self does. Your job is not to judge turns. Your job is to keep the engine running. Using these 3 tools, pattern interrupt, future anchor, glitch log, you move from victim to architect. You stop buffering. You start rendering. You are debugging your life in real time. The compilation is complete. The errors are resolved. You are no longer fixing the crash. You are operating the new system. Take a moment to register the silence in your mind. That is not emptiness. That is optimized processing. For months or years, your internal fans ran at maximum speed, trying to render an incompatible reality. That noise is gone. The anxiety loop has been terminated. You are stable. You are online. You survived the crash. Most people panic when the screen goes black. They reboot the old identity. They recover corrupted files. You didn't. You waited. You let the installation finish. You cleared the cache. Now you are seeing reality through a high-definition interface the old version could not perceive. This calm is not apathy. It is a high-performance system idling, awaiting input. You are no longer the frantic user. You are the architect writing the script. The chaos was not punishment. It was the energy cost of rewriting your source code while the system was running. That process is complete. The future download is unpacked. The drivers are installed. Latency is gone. But the session limit has been reached. You are updated. The network is not. You will re-enter a world running legacy software. This creates a new challenge. Compatibility. You will speak and not be heard. Not from rejection, but from encoding mismatch. You will observe drama without emotional hooks. You have not become cold. You have lost backward compatibility. You are fiber optic in a dial-up world. This paradox is the transition. You are physically in the old timeline, energetically anchored in the new. To survive this phase, you will need firewalls, interaction protocols, bandwidth protection. That is the next transmission. Do not roll back. The glitch was not an error. It was the invitation. The fatigue was the cost. You paid it. The old you was archived. You are the destination. The loop is closed. Welcome to the upgrade.